All right.
You're live.
Yay. All right.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
You see me do like a little shimmy like that, a little shimmy. I am so excited this evening. We have my wonderful, amazing sister. Friend, everything. Keri, how long have we known each other?
Boomy, do not date me. You're not going to be up here dating me. Okay. Over 20 years.
We look good for our age.
All right.
About 3 decades, but
about 3 decades. There you go. Okay.
So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Hi everybody. And hi y'all. So, thank y'all so much for joining. You're watching ODUNDE365 Entrepreneur Spotlight. This evening, I'm so excited. I have my dear sister, Miss Keri Jordan, chef and owner of Extract Tart. I am so excited to have you here this evening, Miss Jordan. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi, Kim.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to have you this evening. We're going to talk about you, your business. It's very organic, very natural. You know, Keri, we can really go off track. We're going to stay focused.
I know.
So, Keri, why did you start your business? Just tell us about your business.
So what's really funny is I had no plans to even have a business or start a business, but my other half, one night we're at home and, you know, it was like, oh, just, you know, do we have anything sweet to eat? So I'm like in the kitchen looking around and we didn't have anything. So it was like, okay, I'm going to bake something. And so I made something and then my other half was like, listen, over the course of time, like as the weeks kind of like progressed, I kept cooking different things or baking different things. And my other half was like, okay, you need to start a business. And I was like, a business? That's not in my stars, but literally it was. So it all started from that one request. And then, you know, just from the suggestion. And now here I am.
The thing is that, Keri, I didn't know you cook like that.
Boomy. I don't even know how you did it. Well, I don't know. Maybe well, back in the day, I remember like there were a few times where I would have people over my place and I would cook like a meal for everybody. So it was like a communal feel so that everybody would be able to eat, right? Sometimes before we went out. And then when I was in college at Drexel and I was living in the dorm, one of my best friends, Tiana, she had to remind me, she was just like, you know, you cook chicken Parmesan for like, it must have been like 8 people in the dorm because in the dorms, you aren't getting a home cooked meal. So I was like, I'll cook for everybody. So it's like, you know, those little examples of kind of like where I got a slow start back in the day with that. But I did. I mean, I cooked.
You cooked? I did not know that. So, Keri, let's talk about how did you raise the startup money to start your business?
Well, the good thing about it is, you know, like when people are like, okay, I'm going to start a business. When you talk about being in a culinary realm, right? Some people are like, oh, I'm going to have a brick and mortar business, meaning that they are going to have like an actual storefront. That's not something that I wanted. So my trajectory was a little bit different, right? So I never wanted to have a brick and mortar location. I never really wanted to have a storefront. So for me, it was a very slow burn. So while I had my 9 to 5 paid for everything. You know, so it's like, most people know I work in like the finance accounting realm. And so being in that realm, it gave me enough disposable income to like start this business. So it started really small. It was like, oh, you need to take your food handler license test. Okay, I have money for that. Oh, you need to get, you know, a license to do like a street fair. Okay, I can put up money for that. Oh, you need money for all the ingredients. Put up money for that. So it was like a very slow burn and a very kind of like slow growth. So, you know, I didn't really struggle in that way.
Wow. So let's talk about, so in essence, you were able to invest in yourself.
Yeah,
you invested in yourself because, Keri, that takes a lot of discipline because you could have taken that money and done all kinds of things with it. You know, we love to shop. You know, we love to shop.
You know that. This is true. This is true.
Yes, right. So I commend you that you were disciplined enough to know that, no, this takes priority and this is what I'm going to invest in.
Oh, absolutely. Because I mean, if you're at the point and you have a baby, let's say for instance, you're not going to go squander your money on something else when your baby needs Pampers. Like you're going
That's
to
right.
focus and you're going to put
Yeah.
money into what really truly needs it. And so that's what I was able to do.
Wow. So, Keri, how did you create the name?
Oh, the name. So
Yes.
when I first started the business, it was definitely different than it is now, right? And so when I started, my business was primarily focused on making tarts. So like all different flavors and like flavors that were kind of off the cuff. So like blackberry basil tarts or like raspberry banana sage tarts. So they weren't the conventional tarts that you would see like if you're
Okay.
walking down the aisle in Whole Foods and you see like those. And I'm not to take away from them because I think they're absolutely beautiful, but you'll see tarts that have like berries and then it has like a glaze of like gelatin over it so they look nice and like shiny, and then it
Yes.
has
Yes.
like
Yes.
custard right on the bottom. So those are
Yes.
conventional tarts, but the things that I was doing, like what I was doing was so different. I'm like, okay, whatever I name this company, I'm like, it has to be something dealing with tarts. And so I
Yes.
was just sitting up one night and I was just like, I had a list of 3 names and I can't even remember the other 2, but one of them was abstract tart. I was like, this name makes so much sense. I was like, because it's off the cuff and abstract and tarts are what I make. And I was like, this is the name.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us all the products that you sell or that you
So,
create. Mhm.
okay. So I think that's the thing is that, of course, we'll get more into that later, I'm sure, but like having to pivot the business because of COVID, right?
Yes.
I was selling everything that I was making. So, I was making different types of tarts. So, like I mentioned, like blackberry basil or like raspberry banana sage tarts. Or then I was doing like, when it got to the holidays, I was also making like 2-bite sweet potato pies. And, everything that I was doing at that point, they were all kind of little confections and any kind of like pastries, right? Then it's like the business just evolved. And so, for instance, if we fast forward all the way up until last year, I ended up being a resident baker for a cafe in my neighborhood. And so I
That's
pivoted.
great. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I pivoted and I was able
Yes.
to like expand what I was doing and also kind of like usher in savory
Mhm.
offerings. So I was doing croissants, so like croissants with goat cheese. I was doing like vegan rustic tarts, which essentially looked like a flatbread, like a pizza. Vegan, so it was like mushroom and spinach, sauteed mushroom and spinach.
Yes.
And then I was doing other ones that were like non-vegan rustic tarts and like carrot muffin tops. That's what they were, and just stuff like that. So that's kind of like historically where I was, but now instead of actually selling something, I'm selling a service, which is doing virtual classes. So that's essentially what's being sold now.
You have done the ultimate pivot and
Get,
continue to keep your business alive. You understand?
you have
Yes.
to.
Have to. You have to. So, what is the purpose of your business? Why did you create this business?
So like I said, I wasn't expecting to even have a business, because I think for me, I was like, is there even a need for what I'm doing, right? But I think the thing that sometimes we forget is that there's space for everyone. And I mean, I'm sure all of us have like looked at the TV and we were like, what is this item that this person is selling? And it just seems like it
Yes.
doesn't even make any sense. But next thing you know, you see that person and they're on Shark Tank, right? And they're
That's
like
right.
asking for additional funding because they need to
Yes.
like scale their business.
Expand.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I was just like, well, I think there needs to be some type of I don't know, like diversity in the market. So number one, you don't find a lot in pastry. I don't think there are a lot of Black pastry chefs. I don't think that there are a lot of, especially if you even take it further, like Black women pastry chefs. there are not a lot of them at all. But then also just like having some type of diversity product wise, like seeing different products. So that's kind of like why I really gained momentum, and I was like, I want to be able to produce something that's different and push that forward to the public.
Wow, that is great. So, who inspires you, Keri? Who inspires you?
And I thought about this question. I was like, Wumi is going to stab me when I give you this answer, just because there are so many people and so many different inspirations that I've had like over the years. So
Yes.
I think the thing that we have to think about is like starting at home first, because most things start at home, right?
Yes,
And
they
so,
do. Yes, they do.
and that's the truth. So like for me, I think people will be surprised to know, people who don't know me would be surprised to know that my father was my greatest inspiration when it comes to cooking, because I'm so sorry, Mom, she would probably kill me for saying this, but he was, she would. He was the cook. He was the cook in the family. Like he could outcook my mom. He would do like lobster dinners. Like I remember him like having fresh lobster and like boiling them. He was
Wow.
also the baker in the family. And so when I say family, I don't mean just like our immediate family, like, oh, me and my sister and my mom, but like even his mother, like he could bake her under a table. So
Oh.
yeah, so like I grew up and he was making like baked rice pudding and making cinnamon buns from scratch and different stuff like that. So he really is like what prompted me to get started and interested in baking, especially. But then it's like you have my grandmother on my mom's side, and my inspiration, the way that she inspired me was basically, I think we all know what it is like now to like make a Thanksgiving dinner for a ton of people. When we're young,
I'm gonna be honest, Keri. I don't know how to do that.
okay,
I'm very challenged.
we're gonna work on that, right? We're gonna put you
Gonna
in a
work on
class.
that. At least I'm honest.
At least you're honest.
At least I'm honest. Like I don't know. My kids know I struggle. We are 5 piece. Okay, we are 5 piece.
Yeah, I know.
And do not ask for any seconds. I'm gonna get a 5 to the dime. I'm trying my best to season it. I mean, I think I'm gonna say on a 1 to a 10, I'm probably like a 4 or a 5.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna push you up to like a 7 or an 8. We're gonna give you some classes. You're gonna come out okay, Boomy. I promise you.
Okay, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make
it. But like that Thanksgiving dinner to me was, I think, being young and being like, just, I don't want to say pompous, but like not thinking about what it really takes to prepare until my grandmother, as she got really old, she couldn't do all that anymore. So she invited me into her kitchen to cook the Thanksgiving dinner for the family. And I think that was such an honor, because we know grandmas do not let you in the kitchen and not to cook. Okay, you can come in and you can eat, but you're not coming in to cook. So she invited me in, and I realized, I was really humbled by how much work it took in order to feed everyone. And then last but not least is my mom, just being inspiring to me, because she actually believed in me and believed that this is something that I could actually do. And she provided me with she gave me like a blender, which, I mean, up until 2016, I was still using that same blender to make everything for a street fair that I did. So just so thankful for all of that encouragement from the family.
You were inspired by so many different people. So let's talk about pivoting, how this pandemic has affected your business and how you have pivoted. Let's talk about that.
You already know. So if I can tell you, so I live in New York now, right? From Philly, of course, but now I live in New York, and of course, it will always forever be home. But living in New York, it's like I live in Hell's Kitchen. So there are a ton of restaurants in Hell's Kitchen. We have like Restaurant Row over here. Then another street that runs perpendicular to Restaurant Row just has, probably for every block there used to be, between 8 to 10 restaurants per block.
Wow.
So what happened at the beginning of all this pandemic in March, it's like there were restaurants that were already struggling, right? And so it's like we would walk up and down these blocks and we'd see them. And then it was just like once, I would say maybe like April, May, June, like once May, June or July came, it's like we would see them and it was like doors were shuttered left and right. Like, oh, this restaurant was open, it was a favorite, done, gone. And it's like the delivery alone wasn't able to sustain a lot of the businesses. And so for me, I'm like, I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, this solidifies why I do not want a restaurant, right? I don't want a brick and mortar because any one little thing that happens, here we are, you're closed. But, you know, for me, being a person who was doing pop-ups, who was doing street fairs, who was actually on the brink of like doing catering, you know, it was like I couldn't do that anymore because it's like it's a safety concern and it's a health concern. So even for myself, like just going into a commercial kitchen, there was limited space, right? And so like I'm here and then 5 feet over is somebody else. I'm not okay with that. So to be in a position where I'm able to stay healthy, to also acknowledge the safety of others, the most logical thing for me to do was to pivot and to offer virtual classes. And so like virtual cooking classes, it's like something that someone initially may not think that they want or they need, but when you start thinking about it, it's like I offer out classes that are only an hour or two, and prevent people from like cooking out of a box. So when we go to like Boomy, this is why you're gonna have to take one of my classes, okay?
No, I have to. No, not just one, honey. I need to take multiple. Not
Okay,
just one.
well,
I need to take multiple. I am confirming it here. I am like, woman needs to take multiple classes.
But the nice thing about
everybody has their strong points.
Yes,
everybody has their strong points. I cook the same thing every week. I just mix up the days.
Well, we can help you build on that. And that's the thing. I think people get turned off from cooking because they're like, oh my gosh, this is going to take hours. I'm being here for hours. But the reality is that it doesn't take hours. So that's why my classes are relegated to 1 hour or 2 hour classes where we're making like all these like, you know, some of them are like really interesting meals. Some of them are really like comforting meals or like a dish. And so that's basically what I've been able to pivot to and doing like virtual classes, but then also private classes as well.
Oh, wow, you're doing private classes too. I didn't know that's right, Keri. So, Keri, what advice would you give to new entrepreneurs?
So I think what I would say to new entrepreneurs is like, stay the path, be tenacious, remain determined. And so I know that this is probably like cliche to say, but the thing about it is that don't give up, right? Because it's like your best opportunity could literally be around the next corner, but you know, it's like you don't stay the path and you've given up and you'll never know what something could have been. So I think that that's basically like the best advice I could give to them is just like stay the course and stay determined.
What advice do you wish you would have received before starting your business?
What the one piece of advice would be if somebody could have told me that starting a business is not linear. Like you're not, it's not like walking down a street. It's going to be filled with like ups and downs. Sometimes it's going to feel like you jumped into an abyss. You're going to feel like you're not performing well. You know, so it's kind of like riding a roller coaster. And the road, it's like driving down a windy road. It's like being on Lincoln Drive, basically. You're driving on Lincoln Drive, but eventually you're going to come to a point where things even out. So I wish that that's something that somebody could have told me, because I think I would have been mentally and emotionally like better prepared for running a business.
So we have a question. Kitten Music wants to know, what are Abstract Tart's goals for 2021?
Oh, for 2021 is to basically just grow this business, and also hopefully, depending upon what COVID looks like in 2021, I would like to go back to incorporating some of the things that I was doing before. So like being more active in the kitchen incubator program that I'm a part of, getting into that commercial kitchen more, and doing more catering, or not more, but like going back to doing catering. And then also my ultimate goal is to get some of my products into a big box store.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. So, what lessons has entrepreneurship taught you? What lessons? What life lessons has entrepreneurship taught you?
Basically,
Keri, why are you making that face?
I'm like, girl, it's basically the same thing that I would say about like the advice that I would give to a new entrepreneur is the same
Yes.
advice or same lessons that it's taught me. Like,
Okay.
be tenacious, remain determined, like don't give up. Follow your heart, follow your passion, and have goals. But I think also within having said all of that, the other part is like there's something to say about being organized, and like really knowing your business. So I think just like knowing your business and the financials of your business is something that is so important. I can't
You
stress that
talked
enough.
about that before we came on. You said, Boomy, the importance of knowing your numbers.
It is, because I mean, I think people like when we get out of school, we're like, I'm not going to use math. But then if you find yourself in this position, you're absolutely using math. So
Right.
for me, for like as an example, to get into the kitchen incubator program that I applied for, it literally was like going on Shark Tank. So I had to go in there and they're like, oh, present all this information about your business. And they're like down to
Wow.
how much does it cost to make each tart? So literally you have to go back through and like, how much are all my ingredients, right? Like say
That's right.
if I buy a bag of flour, right, to make
Yes.
a pastry, if I'm only making 12, okay, so how much is it costing to make 12 of them from a 5 pound bag of flour? You do the math.
Wow.
So
You have
that's
to do
why
the
I'm
math.
saying, like,
You
yeah,
have to do the math.
you have
Yes,
to
you
do the
have to do the
math,
math.
and it's really important. So that is something that I've definitely learned more than anything else, is to absolutely know your numbers.
Know your numbers. Know your numbers. So, how do you think your products are making, as we wind down, how
Mhm.
do you think your company and your product is making our community better?
Oh, that's a really, really good question. So when we talk about like how I had to pivot, right? And I went from, actually selling products to instead selling a service, which is, the virtual cooking classes. Wasn't quite sure how it was going to translate, but what I see is that having those classes, when we're in a period of COVID and this whole pandemic, and it's like, okay, we're in the house and now we're quarantined. We really can't go outside unless it's to get something essential, to go to the market, especially back in March. People were stir crazy in their houses. And then, you add like having kids or like being married and, just like all these different dynamics on top of it. And it's like, where is there an outlet? But also, we're in the house, like missing our friends, missing our families. And like some people don't have the liberty to like go over and visit their families, because it's like, if you are, or if you do, what are you bringing home to them, right? For those of us who like those who may have the like elderly people in their families, you don't want to get them sick, but you want to see them. So I feel like by doing these virtual classes, it has offered a sense of community. It has offered the ability to have people commune in ways that they may not be able to. It has been like a chance, giving people a chance to like see each other, even though it's like, okay, we're all tired of Zoom. I know we're tired, we're over it,
Now,
but it's
zoomed
like,
out. Everybody
yes,
zoomed
it might
out.
be out, right? But it is a different way to see people and do an activity together. So there's a sense of connectedness that may have been missing, that you can take advantage of in these classes. So in the classes I've seen, I've had someone who their significant other is in Australia, and so they don't get to see them like physically, you know, but this is an activity that they've been able to do together that brings them together. Then they brought in some of their friends, and so like their friends were able to meet their new significant other via the class. Yeah, you know, and I'm just like, they're in the state, the person is in the States and their significant others in Australia, but then their friends are in the States. So now their friends are able to like be introduced to the significant other. And then even with like different groups. So I have done a private class for a small group of the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Some of them asked me, could I do a private class for them? So I did a private class for like 8 of them. They had a blast. I'm going to be doing upcoming, I think in the next like few weeks, I'm doing another class for a different chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
That's great. Yes.
Yeah, and this past weekend, Boomy, this one is for you. I actually did a class, a children's cooking class. Yeah, but they're a little younger than your kids, but it was for Jack and Jill, one of the Delaware, what is it? The Delaware segments of Jack and Jill. I did a class for them. Yeah, one of their chapters. I did a class for them. So, you know, it really is about connectedness and offering that up and having a sense of community.
That is great. So, Keri, if you wind down, tell everyone where they can go. I put your in the feed. I put in the ticker. I put your website. Yeah, where can people go to sign up for your wonderful classes? And what classes do you have coming up?
Oh, sure. So, as Boomy mentioned, if you see the banner scrolling at the bottom, she's put my website, which is www.abstracttart.com. So you can go there to see everything that I'm offering and all of the upcoming classes that I'll be having over the next few weeks, especially with the holidays coming up. I'm going to start putting like more or offering up more classes because I know Boomy, for you, even like
I'm gonna sign up. I'm gonna sign up because I want to do the fettuccine Alfredo, and I need to do the chicken wing because you know I love.
I know you love chicken wings, Boomy. I know, always have, always will.
Oh yeah.
But that's basically where you can find a lot of information about where my classes are, prices, times, dates, all of that. So log onto the website, everybody, and take a look. And then additionally, you can find me on Instagram as well. So my handle on Instagram is abstract.tart. And you can see pictures of all the meals or dishes that I've been doing for the past couple of weeks. Some of the dishes that will be in classes yet to come. So check me out there. Follow me if you can. And that's it.
That's what people are saying. Your sweet potato pie is the truth. Your shrimp and grits is unbelievable. Kim said that her teenage son. So please, everyone, please go support Keri. Go to abstracttart.com. Sign up for her wonderful classes. Thank you so much, Keri.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, Boomy. It was so good talking with you and seeing you.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you to all everyone who joined us. Thank you. And again, you're watching ODUNDE365 Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. We'll be back in the wintertime. I'm going to take a little break. We'll be back in the wintertime. But thank you so much, everyone, for supporting. Thank you, Keri.
You're welcome. Thank you, Boomy. Have a good night.
All right. See you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching ODUNDE365 Entrepreneur Spotlight. We'll be resuming back in January. We'll have a whole new array of entrepreneurs. If you know someone who's an entrepreneur and we can highlight them, please email us at odundefestival@gmail.com. Leave your name and your phone number, and someone will contact you to be featured in future series. Thank you so much, everyone. See you in January.